It was one of those rare moments, like where we might have had a different experience given who my dad is and your dad is. But like my dad was pretty straight-laced, didn't swear very much, too much in front of us. I mean, he definitely did. Sorry. So it was like a rare occasion when he would say a bad word. It was almost like when me and my brother were there, we're like, oh, we're in on it. It's like we're being naughty. And we were out in the driveway. I don't even know why I'm telling this story. And my dad was playing ball with us, just throwing like a big ball. And I dropped it. And I remember he said, oh, nice catch, you dildo. I was about to say 7 years old. I don't want to get my dad in trouble. I don't know how young I was. I was old enough to remember, but young enough to where dildo was the funniest word I'd ever heard in my life. And I think he made like this off comment, like, don't say anything to your mom. Okay, yeah. And I just remember something.
Don't tell your mother I said the word dildo, please.
Something happened, and I just went, dildo, dildo. And like, or my brother did something dumb, and I just started chanting, dildo.
So you're that little fucking shit in the movie where you're just like, shut up.
No, I wasn't that shit in the movie. I was that shit around my parents. And see, that's probably because I'm really fairly reserved out in public. I've gotten out of my shell more where I do talk to people, but then I become intensely obnoxious around the people I'm close to, like you or my parents or my emphasis on ex-wife. I don't know. Something you said before we started filming made me think of that, and that's why I said it.
Fair enough. So your parents, I saw this meme. It was really funny, actually. It said, did anyone have the parents who were super strict growing up and then out of nowhere they became super chill and you just don't know when that happened?
Yes.
Is that how it went with you?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I live with my dad, but, there was a time where, he didn't fuck around too much, but at the same time, we were kind of, it was weird. But then at one point, I look at what we do now together, and I'm like, when did this happen?
Right.
When did, being able to cuss like a sailor and discuss what debauchery we got in become just talk?
Now,
I'm like, where did that happen?
Let me ask you this. Are you the same way, and I know your birth parents are separated, are you the same way with your mother?
That
you are with your father?
No, there's differences.
See, I'm the opposite. I am, because I'm a total mama's boy, and we'll delve into that much later, but I can wipe that goddamn smirk off your face. I am much closer to my mom than am I. Like, I say those kind of things to my mom. I can also cuss around my dad, but there, I guess the level to with as many details as I put is different. But that's interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess it could be different that's interesting that you're more like that with your mother. See, my grandfather,
my mom and I are super alike, and I feel like my dad is more like my brother.
Well, I'm similar to my mom, I think, behaviorally more than my dad. But, no, that's not necessarily true. But, side note, one thing that was interesting growing up, too, is my grandfather, because he was in the military, he was a chief master sergeant in the Air Force. He became more chill as he got older, too. Because, when my dad tells me stories about, when he was growing up with him, he was light. I couldn't imagine living under that strictness at the time. But he was also peak militaries in his career.
Yeah.
But and it's crazy to think I was like, man, I can't ever imagine him that way. But I guess I could. It's interesting how people kind of lighten up as they get older. I feel like it's as you get older, things don't matter as much.
Yeah, but I mean, you go to the villages for a day, and you can see that can also go in the opposite direction.
Yeah, this is true.
And especially in the new climate we're in with COVID, I've just noticed my parents live by the villages, which, for those who don't know, is, I think, probably the largest retirement community in the world. I mean,
it's like the most coveted place to
at least
go.
in America.
I
I'll say
remember
that.
back in the day listening to the fucking AM radio, with the classics, Rush and everyone, like, you know how it was. And hearing that goddamn commercial, The Villages.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that?
No, but I mean, I was in
And
the
there was
heart
a
of it.
TV commercial too. Yeah, you lived here, so it's
It
probably
was
like-
always just happening, yeah.
And it's so funny because I always used to wonder as a little kid, like, what's the Villages? Like, what is that? And they kept advertising it. And of course, when you're that age, you don't have the concept that it's for older people.
To go and fuck like crazy.
And then I get this job with the freaking Apex Roofing, and I'm in the Villages all the time. Like, we're going to go to the Villages. We're going to go to the Villages. And we're over there knocking on doors all day, every day, getting cussed out.
Big time.
Yeah, oh yeah. And then, I mean, having the cops called constantly. And like this company I work for was just ruthless. And anyway, long story short, I'm like, God, I'm in the fucking Villages all the time now. Now I resent the Villages. If I see a golf cart like on the road, I get flashbacks and PTSD of that shit. I'm just like, dude, because it's a golf cart place.
It's it.
And they have their own lanes. And
They assume the complete right of way
let me tell you something.
over vehicles. Go.
Golf carts, when you think of a golf cart, you think of the golf cart, the classic look. I've never seen such tricked out golf carts. Look, the Villages, there is more traffic with golf carts than regular cars. And I remember driving through and literally they have their own tunnels, passageways. It's like a fucking Mario Kart game board. And I would drive and I would see, like, I would be pulling the corner and I'd see, and then,
And some of those things zoom.
they zoom. Some of them are gas powered.
Right.
Some of them are fully enclosed like a little shell and they almost look like a smart car.
They look, yeah, and they put those old school bodies on them, so it looks like an old Cadillac.
It's
and
hilarious.
shit.
They buy it and they build it to the point to where it just drive your fucking car.
You might as well put that fucking. You're exactly right. They
It's
cost as much.
hilarious. And I don't know. There's a culture to it because
You're right.
my wife's grandmother lives in Homosassa.
Okay.
And they live in a neighborhood, and it's also got golf carts. And like her partner now, that was a priority to get a golf cart because you have to and they don't take the car. Like, we're gonna go meet so and so at the marina, and we'll ride, and then we'll get to the main street. I'm like, this is where fucking cars go.
Exactly.
And they just and then they go to the place. Like, they would rather take the golf cart because it's like this culture for them when you're older to have the golf cart.
And it's a status symbol.
It's a status symbol. The nicer the golf cart too.
People judge each other on the fucking kit they have on their golf cart. If you've got one that was fresh off the course, you're not welcome at this club.
Oh yeah. And the reason I despise it, and at the same time I want one really bad.
I know, it looks badass.
Because I live in Winter Garden,
Okay.
and it's a golf cart town as
Okay.
well. So not only do I go to the Villages and I'm surrounded by golf carts and golf cart owners, I'm clearly outnumbered. Clearly.
Yeah.
I come home from knocking on doors all day, getting cussed out, and I get onto my street, which is shared with golf carts. So then I have to ride behind them, and they go, and they're not going fast.
As
And
much as they do.
They'll give me the okay to pass them and shit, and I'm just,
Okay.
but I got to go over a double yellow line. You're battling. Is this even legal on this street? I'm getting home, and it pisses me off. It infuriates me. Riding with the golf carts. But anyway, that was the whole, tangent on that with the Villages.
I think I still might remember. The old people, and it ties into the golf carts, but especially with COVID, and I know it's because they are more susceptible to it, have really latched on to this certain entitlement. And I think that also translates to how they operate their golf carts. It's gotten worse since COVID. And that's really kind of when you started whipping up in those areas.
Yeah, I mean, because, COVID is what caused me to even get new jobs in the first place.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, that was all. But you know what, though? I knocked on their fucking doors. They would answer. No one even gave a shit up there because they all got the VAX, the jab, and They didn't care because when that shit was available, they all got it. And like, to be honest, I ran into more people. Like I would say 80% of the people I ran into there didn't seem concerned. And then every now and then I'd run into one where they had like a piece of paper taped to their door with like the most illegible handwriting I could ever imagine.
Yeah.
And it would say, if you're Amazon or this, please leave it at the door. Do not ring. We are not seeing any guests because of COVID. And then I'd be like, okay, I'm just going to skip this fucking house.
There is a massive variety age-wise that comes to the villages. Doing pest control in there, we had certain customers that got in there right away at the 55 plus. It's a 55 plus community. We had, my parents could live in the villages. They don't. I mean, they live very close in proximity, but it's not the villages at all. And it's bizarre to think they could live in there. And we had certain customers who were young, and then you do have those on death's doorstep type of people. But I was thinking this as you're talking about the jab, and as much as I hate it being a seemingly, or at least people are trying to make it into a conservative versus liberal thing. Conservatives don't want the jab vaccine. Liberals are pushing for it. I think it's much more complex than that. I've seen conservatives who are, I feel, very ignorant about the vaccine, and liberals who seem to be very open-minded. So it goes both ways. But
don't say that.
Why?
The vaccine. Say something else.
The jab. Oh, you think we'll get flagged by fucking
yes.
Fucking Susan Wojcinski?
Yes.
Whatever bitch.
It's the only thing you got talking code. I mean, you don't have to really talk code.
Okay, I wasn't thinking about it, brother.
But no, I'm saying like just
you're right. I guess
that word itself, I'm saying just fill it in.
The jab is the stab.
The stab, the jab, the VAX.
The jab's starting to get a little overused. I've seen a lot of people say the jab.
That's true. I mean, they
that
could pick
might
up
start
on
getting
that.
flagged.
That's what I'm saying.
We have to beat this fucking system.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, you just got to be smarter than their stupid little.
It's algorithms. Nobody's.
No, yeah, it's just picking up on shit.
I stepped on your bit. I'm sorry. You were doing something funny and I jumped in on it.
When? Just now?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm trying to get.
I didn't think so.
So,
well, look, here's the deal. I mean,
here's the deal. Here's the story.
Do you have it?
Fuck no. Here's my story with COVID.
Yeah, no, tell everyone because you caught it.
I caught it, and I survived, as did my parents, and as is my brother right now. Did he even get sick? I don't know. I haven't communicated with him. I got to. I know he was feeling run down, but in the midst of him feeling run down, he does this like live stream thing about his flying. My brother's a pilot who's got like an excellent program and everything. Go check it out.
Yeah, Stephen Whalen is a fanboy.
Exactly. And he seems fine. But I as of right now, I cannot speak for it. Early in quarantine, when mask mandates were just starting, when Trump was still president, my parents got super sick, and I was living in the house there all the time because that's in the midst of my isolation and depression, whatever. We weren't really talking, and I was there. I did not get sick. They got very sick. So, and I had just left my ex-wife's house. So entered into that environment. They got very sick, I remember, and I didn't get sick. A couple months later, we kind of determined, yeah, y'all probably had COVID. And then up until August 2021, again, this was December 2019, that happened. August 2021, my parents start getting run down, and I have my own place at this point, and I was over here, and I had grown wary about COVID because a man I played football with, Justin King, passed away.
From it?
Yeah. Now, I'm just being objective here. I'm not being a hater, whatever. I had heard he may have let himself go a little bit. I think he was a big guy. I think that may have contributed to it. However, it was still very jarring to find somebody I graduated with pass away from it. I had not had a death that was that close. I had seen people, I had heard, one of our customers, like the pest control customers that my parents have, passed away that I knew. Things like that, but it was jarring to hear somebody I knew. So I told my parents, go get a test, and I'm going to stay over here. And they apparently, and I say apparently because I just don't know if they were selling me a false bill of goods or whatever. That's just my opinion. They went and got a home test, and it came up negative. And the only thing that does back them up, my brother did the same thing. Negative actually was positive. So I go over there for dinner. I'm like, okay, well, if they're just sick, I mean, whatever. I got a good immune system. I haven't gotten sick in a very long time. Over 2 years at that point. And go over there, feel fine. Next day, I go to probation. And I don't wear a mask because they say you don't have to. And
which is surprising.
Yeah, they used to, but since the vaccine got popular, they said no, and then they don't really ask you about that. At least they haven't me. I wake up the day after that, and here's what really got me, is because I had texted my PO, my parent. I was around them, I think, at first, and then I got away from them and thought maybe I should go get tested. So when they had the at-home negative, I thought I was fine. And then I told my PO, hey, they tested negative, I'm good, because I didn't go in at first. And then I went and saw him, went to probation, said I'm good. And then the next day, I woke up, I had long hair. I cut my hair up until this point, or I cut my hair a couple weeks ago. And my hair was matted to my fucking face. And I was just shivering. It was worse than withdrawals, opiate withdrawals. And there was a couple times I was ready to call the fucking ambulance. I was texting my mom, like, what do I do? I can't drive over there to have her help me. They were fucked up. It was just a terrible 24 hours. I threw up. And part of me is wondering, like, because I mean, I've got a drug addict's mindset. I'm like, did I take anything? Did I do anything? But no. I'd smoked some pot, and then I tried to smoke pot when I was feeling bad, and that made it so much worse. My head was pounding worse. It was a terrible idea. And I woke up the next day after that feeling significantly better. I had rested most of the day, and really I just had a cough that lingered, and what do you think? I can't stop. You guys see it on this podcast. I vape a fuck ton, and that didn't stop. So I had a cough that lingered for a while, but I directly attribute that to my unhealthy behavior.
Right.
So that was my COVID experience, was 24 hours of a very, very intense, the most intense I've ever had flu. And
24 hours.
12 hours, because I woke up at around 5 and I probably passed out at around 7. And when I woke up at 7 the next morning, I was much better. So I say a day, but it was a waking day. So 12 hours, let's say. Very intense when I was awake. I hated it.
You know what's interesting? Because you get up so early and you're up late all the time, I don't ever picture you sleeping. Like you can't, I feel like you're up just all the time.
I got into a terrible habit of when I was in isolation. And when I say that, I still don't really hang out with anybody, but I didn't see anybody but my parents for about a year. And that wasn't because of COVID. It was because I chose to. In isolation, I got into the habit of like passing out at 5 or 6 p.m.
And then waking up
at like midnight or 1. And then just watch. For a year, I watched like Howard Stern. I binged Howard Stern for some reason. Now I'm off of that, thank God. And I definitely still have those tendencies, but
It seems like you're kind of back into a healthier rhythm.
I go to bed now at about like 8:30 to 10, and then I'll still wake up at about like 5.
Yeah, that's good sleep.
It is, but I don't do anything, dude. I'm just being dead ass. I don't do anything that productive with my time when I could wake up and think of a new intro to make, or wake up and do something for my dad, or wake up and look for more business for other things. Like,
Well, in due time.
I know.
In due time.
I'm just pissed.
But I can tell you, you survived the vid.
Yeah, I don't mean to.
No, but I mean, I never caught it as far as I'm concerned.
Can I say something else?
Yeah, go ahead.
2 days after the severe symptoms, went and got monoclonal antibodies.
Yeah, the thing that the government was trying to take away from Florida.
Were they really?
Oh, you didn't hear about that?
No, fuck no.
Oh, man.
I got it just in time.
Well, yeah, I mean, side story. There was
DeSantis is the man, and he's not going to let them do shit like that.
Well, that's basically what happened. They were basically saying that they want to distribute it equally among states, and Psaki was proclaiming that there needs to be equity among states for the treatments and things like that. So DeSantis actually secured his own partnership with another supplier and got it himself.
So he made a great move.
Correct. So that's the shit that they were talking about, though. So you actually took it. So what was that experience like?
I showed up. I was mad at my mother at the end of it because she duped me. I showed up to a movie theater in the Villages. They shut down the Old Mill Playhouse, I think it was, or the Barnstormer. There's a couple movie theaters in there, and made it into a COVID center. And I initially went there, and I made sure, I asked my mom, like, are you sending me to go get the vaccine? And she said, no, it's not the vaccine. But she kept...
Did they administer it via shot?
Yeah. 4.
Oh,
4.
Okay. I didn't know that. I thought it was like an IV drip.
My mother got the IV drip. I got 4 shots. So I walk into this movie theater, mask on, and they use the fucking, the pull things to guide you through the whole thing. There's people in full fucking hazmat.
Really?
It was very apocalyptic. I'm just being honest. Still.
So stupid.
And I'm just going to, this is just an observation. They were all black women. All of them. I don't know. I noticed mostly black women
That's because they say, we ain't getting that fucking jab. We ain't getting
That's
goddamn
true.
nothing.
Well, here's another observation, and I just, if someone in the comments has some insight, point it out. Mostly black women and men work in rehab facilities. As like the techs, almost every treatment center I went to was a majority black staff. I mean, they were awesome.
It's funny you say that because when I got that COVID
Not all
test for that shoot I was talking about earlier, it was the same way.
A lot of black people seem to enter into the medical. I don't know. I'm just curious about like what that is.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've always thought that about rehabs too. I'm like they I don't know. They're doing a great job, but
maybe it's something that's attainable as far as, it's not a prolonged, you don't have to be in a school for too long. And then you can have
it's entry level.
Yeah, it's entry level.
As long as you can pass a drug test. And
Not saying that they can't do something better.
Well, I think it's a decent paying job. And I mean, they're working in a place that's helping people ultimately. But I wonder if it's because addiction and self-medication is so rampant in like lower income areas because of the circumstances they're living in.
That could be it too.
And then the music they hear and everything else. I mean, it's just, and we listen, the music I listen to is the same music they listen to, and it fucked me up. So it's not exclusive to one race.
Right. And like, people like me, we listen to Mozart and Beethoven, so I'm very posh.
Right. And you're better than me.
Right.
We were talking about COVID.
So
I walk into this movie theater.
Right.
All black, seemingly Jamaican women. Beautiful. I would have had any of them. And I walk in and turn in my papers, and I ask them explicitly is this the vaccine? No. No,
Well, you would've
boy,
got-
it's not the vaccine.
You would have gotten the card. No, this is worse. This
It was worse. It hurt.
this is the 4-step Bill Gates chip process.
Oh, Christ. It probably all is. And we're already chipped with our phone. And I go in. They're like, no. So I sit down and wait just a couple minutes and then go back. And it's in a theater. And there's a bunch of people sitting in the theater. And I'm like, are they playing something? I didn't really know what was going. Like, are they watching something so we can?
No, they're making sure the operation goes smoothly.
It looked like an operating theater.
Yeah, they're sitting there just like, okay.
Well, it was
so as you
people
can
who-
see, patient A has entered the building.
It was
So
a
what they're
lot
gonna
of
do
people,
now-
but it was majority. There were some doctors sitting, but it was majority people. Here's one of my long hairs. Majority people who had gotten the antibodies. I thought initially it was a waiting room. I'm like, fuck me. My mom said this would take 5 minutes. And it did. I got back there. Nice Jamaican lady gave me 2 in this arm, 2 in that arm. Every time I get a shot, I just look away. I just can't look at it.
I don't do needles either. Like when I got my blood drawn, I was like, fuck.
I'm cool with needles. I'm cool with the sharp pain. I'm not watching it go in. Same with I've been getting ketamine infusions for depression. I told you earlier, looking like a heroin addict, and never did heroin. And never mind. See, I almost made a bad joke. I was gonna say DM me if you have some, but that's a bad idea. Got the 4 jabs, and then I had to wait a fucking hour.
So you could leave?
Yes, because they have to monitor you. Because I don't know if
To make sure you don't drop dead?
Yeah, but I felt completely fine, and everyone else in there seemed fine. I'm sure that's probably an insurance thing, because if I went driving and then crashed, I could blame it on that. And
Yeah, you can be like, you jabbed me 4 times with some shit.
Exactly.
I don't know what it was.
And I'm sure some people probably have a bad reaction, especially if they're really in the throes of their sickness. I was over it. I mean, I wasn't over it, but I was well able to drive. I didn't have a headache or anything by that point. And
to be clear, we're talking about the antibody monoclonal,
monoclonal
not
antibodies.
the AX.
The jab.
Although
The
that shit might
jab.
fuck you up.
I might have
too.
said, oh man, I might have said the V word a couple times.
No, you're good. So anyway, you wait an hour.
Yeah, and there's this big dude who looks like the big Hugo, I think his name was, on Lost. He's like this big, massive guy with a beard, and he's just coughing the most phlegmy sounding. And you can just hear the fucking phlegm shooting out. Didn't have a mask on. I put my mask on at that point. I'm like, I'm not getting double COVID, bitch.
Like, you know, be like, I ain't above it in this moment right now.
No, and there's definitely times, and I'll be honest, like where, like sometimes my face will break out or whatever, and I'm like, I'm grateful to have a mask. And then there's been so many times I've gotten tricked. I've looked at a girl. There was this one therapist in rehab.
Oh my God.
Brandy.
You're up. You're getting fucking catfished.
Brandy reminded me. I'm just gonna be honest, okay? All I can be is she reminded me of my ex-wife, but then she was just. She knew she was like okay with me being a drug. She was like my ex-wife if she was okay with me being a drug addict and like I accept you this and that. And we had some sessions and I was just like I love this woman. I was like fan because when you're in rehab too, the pick of the litter for women to look at amongst the clients, a lot of people, myself included, are very worn down and looking bad. She was a therapist. And I fell in love with her, and I remember we were having this. Oh God. We were having this session and my parents were on the phone, and this was like, she looked at me and she had beautiful eyes. She looked at me and was like, we can take our masks off in here. And that was like a fucking romance movie of like, the government's not watching. And you could just take it off and then you make out. And it's just, I mean, my parents were on speakerphone, but I was just, I might have got a little half chub. I was just 25 days in rehab at that point. Haven't jerked off much because the meds they put me on, I can't come. And I'm just horned up, ready to go. So Brandy says, we can take our masks off, Sharon. Dun, 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 dun. And we start taking it off. And I'm body positive. I believe everybody's beautiful. She had 3 giant meatloaf-looking moles all around her nose area.
Oh.
And I just felt so bad.
Because that chub went away immediately.
I just can't help it. Everyone wants to judge and say, oh no, she's beautiful. She had a husband, so you know what? She got married to somebody, but it just threw me because I guess I imagined what her mouth. And it's like, oh, the perfect supple mouth. The lips are just big enough, and it's the mask that fucked me up,
dude. That is.
And
classic.
it was so terrible. And you know what? One of the not Tinder Hinge dates I went on, the poor girl. Not poor girl. She duped me. I told this story on my solo podcast. I got deleted real quick because it was just embarrassing. I need you. And yeah, I'm not doing a solo podcast. I suck at it. I think you'll be very good at it. It just wasn't good.
I mean, it just takes practice, probably.
I think you're right. I went to this. I met this girl on Hinge, and she was very cute. Another one. I need to go to therapy. Another one who looked kind of like my ex-wife. I got to get through some things. And I'm being honest, Zach. And we were talking. She was a little dull. I'm just being honest. I had to really lead in the conversation, but she was cute in her pictures. So, and she didn't live far away. And that's my big thing because I'm on probation. I'm not leaving the county. She lived here.
Yeah, so you're within the
Right.
parameters.
Right. So we meet up. I had the idea to go to not a flea market, an antique store. Because I did that with my ex-wife.
You're just rinsing and repeating.
Fuck, I couldn't think of anything. Because I really wasn't in a
Poor
place.
girl's probably like, that's so cute.
I really wasn't in a place to be on dating apps
That's
at the time.
such a good idea.
Did I ever tell this?
You're fucking terrible.
I don't think I told you, but I don't think I've ever told on a podcast the story where I couldn't get hard.
No, yeah, I know that one.
I don't think I told that on a podcast. We'll see. I meet this girl. The whole point of the story is she takes off her mask and she had completely photoshopped her lower jaw. She was naturally born with a much more narrow chin, a drastically narrow chin.
Was it the kind that like goes in?
Yeah, none.
Yeah.
Looked like she'd been chewing tobacco
And lost.
and got jaw cancer. We really are going for it, huh?
It's like Dave Chappelle.
It's just so shocking.
That's what he was saying.
I haven't seen it yet.
That's every like 30 minutes he was like, going all the way. That's what he kept saying.
Fuck. It was just so shocking. That was the deal. And it was just so off from that. And then if she was dull on messages, she was very, very shy. Cripplingly so. And then she had actually a pretty fucked up family story. I can't remember all the details, and I don't think I'd put them all the way. I mean, who knows who this is? She had a bad family life. And she was nice enough. And then I remember we went back to her place, I guess to give some conclusion to it. And I was just so in my head. And like I may have like rubbed her leg a little bit when we watched Netflix, but I didn't make a move on her. And then when we said goodbye, I hugged her and I didn't kiss her.
Oh, God. So the Netflix dropped the chill.
Yeah, we watched The Office, like my ex-wife. I used to.
Speaking of, I got that as a wedding present, the whole thing.
I wish I went to your wedding.
Yeah, it's all right. So, long story short, then.
I shouldn't be dating right now.
And masks
Right now, I'm
are
okay.
catfish tools.
Thank God. Yeah, I mean, thank you. Yes.
So,
And I also was with, and I'm not going to tell the whole story, a girl who was clearly Asian in her pictures who turned out to be Mexican. Clearly Asian. I've texted multiple people of multiple ethnicities, yourself included, if you remember it. And I was like, what does she look like?
oh yeah, I remember this.
Asian. She looked Asian. And when I showed up, she was a Mexican girl. I have no problem if you're Mexican. Just show me you're Mexican. Stop putting all the fucking filters on to make yourself look that different.
Oh man.
Okay. Moral of the story is I should be off.
I wonder if she'd be okay with calling the vid the Wu flu.
Did Trump really say that? Or he said
He
the
said
Kung
Kung
flu.
flu.
How do people not find that hilarious?
Dude, that motherfucker was way funnier and way more sharp than this clown that's running this place.
Tell me about, because you texted me and then I
Well, hold on.
Okay.
So you got the monoclonal
Right.
antibodies,
And I feel fine.
and you feel fine. So you're done. You're done there. That's it.
Done
So
with
what
COVID.
were you going to say? Explain what to you?
Speaking of the JA, what was with the picture our president took?
The fuck are you talking about?
In
The
a
fake set?
Yeah, what I don't. I saw something about that, but I'm out of the loop, bro.
Oh, so there's these every time he got a shot, the booster. He got the booster because they're gonna be
Now we've got to take 7 more.
the booster. So anyway, he's getting the booster and he's getting it on his little flabby hairy arm. And pictures surfaced or leaked or came out. I don't even know if they're trying to hide it at this point. But it's a set. He's on like a stage, a background of the White House. Like he's in a room of the White House. And someone zoomed in and the window that is behind him is fake. You can see that it's not really an outside. And then all along the stage, there's like people with cameras and shit. Like it's like a stage. So, and then he's been doing more speaking or like little... just whatever, media snippets, things to keep him involved, which we all know he's...
What is he hopped up on?
I don't even know. But anyway, long story short, it's just strange. He keeps broadcasting shit and doing the shot and all this from this fake White House. He's not actually like doing it from the real Oval Office.
And so there's a shit ton of press taking pictures of this.
Yeah, I mean, you could look it up. It's out there. So, I mean, I saw some comments. I was reading through one of the posts, and people were saying it maybe has to do with a security thing, and I don't understand it. But it's just strange because it's weird.
A security thing? What's more secure than the fucking White House?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Other than that bitch who broke in there when Obama was in office. Or no, a girl was watching the door, and a guy broke in. Sorry.
Yeah. So maybe they're trying to
bitch.
play up the whole, January 6th thing and like, domestic terrorism, and we don't want anyone getting old Joe.
Did you listen to Alex Jones on Flagrant 2?
I've been listening to him a lot.
Did you listen to him on Flagrant 2?
I didn't listen to the whole thing on Flagrant 2.
In a nutshell.
Did they pull it?
No.
Good.
They pulled the first one.
Well, he's behaving on his circuit. He's not.
He's doing good.
He's doing good.
And his people, the hosts,
they pulled the one on Elijah Schaffer's show.
They pull him, and they got to find loopholes because he is behaving. And now that the Sandy Hook thing he got convicted on it, that might, who knows, influence his presence at all on the platform. But real quick, by January 6th, you mean the Capitol, right?
Yeah, the Capitol riot.
Yeah. Okay, so listen to this. He explains it briefly. Trump asked him to show up for a speech, like a freedom speech. And Trump was going to follow. He was going to open for Trump. Not at the Capitol, at a venue.
Yeah, where it started.
Adjacent. And he showed up. I remember he said his wife asked him not to do it. And he said, the president's asking me to do something. I'm going to do it. And he said he had a bad feeling about it. And when he talks, I just tend to believe the guy. Sorry, he just doesn't seem like he's lying. And they turn the corner to get to the area. There's no stage, there's no microphones, and there's no speakers. And he turns around. I don't know if Trump was right there. I think Alex Jones walked before him, and then obviously Secret Service will escort Trump in. Alex Jones turns around and looks at his people. And he's like, this is a fucking setup. And then by the time he said that, by the time they escorted him into that area, people were already with nowhere to go because they didn't have a speech to go to. And I think he said agent provocateurs, like just people planted in there, conspiracy, whatever, started marching towards the Capitol. And then the police, truly looks like they just completely stood down.
Yeah. I mean,
and that's not because, it's a bunch of white people, let's let them commit crimes. That's because somebody at a higher level is like, let's let this happen.
Well, it already came out that they found out like the FBI was like fully aware of it, and like they basically let it happen. Like that ended up It's a sham. So,
But why is it that you and I are talking about this right now that it gets completely shut down? Why can't this be an option?
because, my friend, we are ever much closer to a 1984 fully realized situation where they want to have control of the narrative, and they'll do whatever it takes. They know that there is a segment of us who know it's all bullshit, but they have a large portion of the country who is feeding into their bullshit. So they just don't care. Like, because they have enough people brainwashed. So they're committed and they're not going to stop. They're going to do whatever it takes. Now, you brought up Alex Jones. This is a little bit of a side thing that I figured, tell me if you know this. We're never going to get him on anytime soon, obviously. In a dream, soon. One day we will. But I was watching Elijah Schaffer and Sidney Watson's show, and they had him on. Actually, it was just Elijah Schaffer's show, his solo show. Had him on, and he asked him, where did you get your start in media? Do you know how he got his start?
I want to say he was on local radio.
Even before that, like the very first thing that prompted him to start exposing things. This is going to touch your heart. It touched mine. So I watched this interview, and I was like, wow. So it turns out his grandfather, he lived in Texas. He's from Texas. His grandfather was a little, older gentleman, and he lived in this house. I'm going to just kind of summarize it quickly because I don't remember every detail. I just know the gist of it. And the property that his grandfather had, the city was claiming that there was an area that he had to cut the trees from and like clear up and clean up. Or else they were going to put a lien on his house and do all of this, abrasive governmental behavior on him to give his life hell if he didn't go clean up this area. It's like some sort of creek area not too far from the house. So Alex Jones, went and grandfather told him about it, and he looked at the map and the districting of the lot lines and everything, and he was like, this is not on your property. Like, you don't have to do this. Like, this is not your property. So and they kept telling him, yes, it is. So Alex Jones ended up saying, I'm going to commit to this. I'm going to expose them that they're wrong. And he ended up finding out they're doing it to multiple people in this little area. There's like some sort of, scam going on within the government officials on the local level. So he exposed it. He got a camera and he went and filmed, like showed the different property lines. And when I was watching the interview, they were showing the old footage. Like, it's somewhere. We could probably find it. And Alex Jones is super young. And he basically exposed it, got the city to admit they were wrong, and it actually, it worked. Something came out of it, and he never had to actually cut down that shit back by the creek or whatever because he exposed it. So that's where it all started. That's the story. And I was like, I'm glad that is the story I heard, because it's like, wow, no, the very first thing he did was exposing some sketchy shit. The very first thing. And it was for the sake of his grandfather, who's old and, not in good shape. And they were trying to freaking rape him with tax liens and shit.
And that still happens to this very day.
Oh, yeah. It happens all the time. And now it's just out of control, probably. But anyway, I thought that was really interesting.
That is.
And now, obviously, his whole life's work is exposing things and looking into things. And the dude, what is the new quotes that I'm seeing now? It says conspiracy is tomorrow's news or shit like that. And every conspiracy that I've known 10 years ago is now true today. I mean, all of it.
Listen, he was talking about Jeffrey Epstein.
Like 20 years ago.
Dude.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
He's more correct than he is incorrect.
He's an entertainer.
Look at the mainstream media. Look at Don Fuckboy Lemon. Look at Fox News. Look at all of them. On a majority basis, what they're peddling has some untruth to it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's clear as day because
both sides. It's just media. It's not a Republican.
It's corporate media.
Okay, exactly.
Corporate media.
Sorry.
That's the way to describe it.
Because we have new media, which is saving the world. However, they're already trying to take over new media by hijacking YouTube. Google got on YouTube in 2006. YouTube opened in 2005. They were fucking visionaries with that shit. They recognized this is what's next.
Yeah, this is what's next. And we're going to grab it now because now they're panicking because there's so much alternative media, so many new shows that you and I watch. Like you watch stuff I don't even watch. I watch stuff you never even heard of.
Exactly.
That is now popular. And they're panicking, which is, remember that Facebook whistleblower I was telling you about?
Right.
So, just happened.
Tell me more about that, please.
Project Veritas has had multiple whistleblowers come from Facebook already. Okay, they don't get any attention from the corporate media. But on 60 Minutes, they just have this fucking whistleblower come out, and she's all in Congress testifying and shit. Come to find out, she's an activist. She's donated to the Dems multiple times, and you know, if you look into her history, she's crooked. She's an activist. I don't, whatever.
She has an agenda.
An agenda, right? So basically, her whole shit, she didn't really whistleblow anything because her whole thing was like Facebook is all for profits and it's just divisive and this, and this. And because I was listening to Ben Shapiro and he said it perfectly. He said, she didn't say anything new, and I was listening to it. And I'm like, I guess he's right. I mean, she didn't really say anything new. She just said like it feeds into people's poor body image. Like with Instagram, and I'm like, we've known this shit. We know that's what social media does.
They made that whole documentary about it.
Yeah. So nothing new, nothing groundbreaking, nothing earth-shattering. Like she brought nothing forward. But Congress ate it up. They were basically saying like, basically Facebook is not playing ball enough with the government, because we all know they censor, right? We have to be mindful.
Yeah, but wasn't Facebook one of the ones who was on the lower end of the spectrum of censoring conservative things?
They are, but they're still doing it.
Right.
A little bit. So
if Twitter was rampant and terrible, Facebook was moderate.
Yeah, moderate, I would say. So, and that's where most people use Facebook, especially like the boomers in the middle.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So,
but that's their bread and butter.
That's their bread and butter. So that's right, exactly. So here's what's going on. The government knows they can't actually censor outright from, like, they can't actually do it. They can't actually be like, we're gonna. So what they do is they pressure Facebook and other tech giants into doing it by threatening them with regulation. That's how they're getting away with it. So the whistleblower was all this fucking show to put the pressure on them again to basically say, you're not doing it enough for us.
Oh, fuck. So this caused the shutdown.
Coincidence. So they could be deleting shit. They could be deleting whatever she was referencing. I don't know. I don't know what the shutdown was about. I think it's I don't believe in coincidences with this shit.
No, that's too convenient.
Right. So now Facebook, now the Dems, they are saying, that if you don't do this, then we'll have to take care of it. And, because Facebook is protected under Section 238, I believe it's called, to where that doesn't allow them to be liable for what anyone posts because they're not a publisher. They're a platform. But they're censoring as if they're a publisher. Do you understand the confliction there?
Yeah.
So anyway, long story short.
Yes.
The long story short, they're trying to say Facebook has a responsibility for what's going on with like the riot and everything when they don't, because they're a platform. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not responsible. Like sure, there's some guidelines. You can't like go and say you're going to kill someone like on their
and if
thread.
they do, they remove it.
Yeah, they remove it. But like the Dems are saying that the misinformation and the things that people like us talk about are what caused January 6th, and that needs to be stopped. When we all know that's not true. So they're playing it. They're fucking altering reality. So that's their ploy. That's what they're doing. They're doing First Amendment censorship by pressuring tech companies into doing it for them because they know they can't do it. Because we'll be like, will stand up. I mean, that might cause people to stand up. You know what I mean? Every loophole they can find, they're doing it.
Well, it's already pushing people to so many other platforms. And they're platforms you and I need to start
like
getting on.
Rumble, locals.com, I told you about.
Yeah.
So, because we can't, if you rely on YouTube and shit, we're fucked. Because I don't know.
There's huge like H3. Have you ever heard of H3?
No.
He's one of the OG YouTube creators, and he started out, he's like YouTube's Howard Stern now.
Really?
And I'm going to say this because he started out as the fucking free speech guy, calling out the cringy, exploiting the system type of content. And he has just completely cucked out. He has just gone back on his beliefs, has become completely woke. He went against Steven Crowder. Crowder challenged him to a debate, and apparently Crowder always has because they've taken shots at each other.
Is this the one where he got on the debate and like had someone else
he
show
had
up?
Sam Cedar there to back him up, and that's like
what a
Crowder's arch
bitch.
nemesis. And Crowder agrees to debate with him, just not in an ambush setting like that.
Yeah, what
the
a
whole
bitch.
internet decided that was a bitch move. You should have just talked to him, and nothing got done because they just got to arguing. Because Crowder, he can argue, and then the Sam Cedars wouldn't shut up. H3 guy was chiming in, but whole point is Howard Stern started out as the free speech guy and has become a total bitch in media.
Well, I think you get to a point where
He
they
became
know
what he
things
hated.
we don't. Yeah, he does. He is.
He became what he made a career railing against.
And I was obsessed with Howard Stern too.
And I hated it first.
And you hated it, and then you liked it, and then
that's the first episode we had talking about Howard Stern.
Yeah, and I mean, fuck, it's tough because he's brilliant. He was brilliant, and today it's just so cringe. It's cringe.
It's terrible, and that's how I feel about that YouTuber. So the same shit is happening in new media. It's almost like new media is going through its own renaissance of
being refined by wokeness.
Exactly. And then what did we say? It's going to dig back underground, and then it ties back to all those alternative sites.
Right, exactly. It's
YouTube
digging
is
back
going
down again.
I'll say this on their own platform. I'm going to re-sign up for the thing so we can be on iTunes and shit. But YouTube's going to fall.
And that's a
probably in the
big-ass
next
thing
5 to 10 years.
Yeah, because
who's going to take over? Vimeo? I upload my dad's stuff to Vimeo.
It's
because
a professional video place.
Yeah, because Vimeo is a higher quality website than YouTube.
Right. It's bad. I mean, I don't know.
I watch a ton of. I'm one of the main.
I'm on YouTube every day, all day.
Customers to YouTube. I have YouTube Premium because that's what I listen to podcasts on, music, whatever.
Yeah, because you can lock your phone and it can still play.
Exactly. I'm a cuck to YouTube, and here I am saying, "Fuck you, YouTube."
I mean, it's
because
just,
you aren't what you started out as, and you
Right.
can't get mad at me for that. This started as a platform for the fucking people. And it paid creators who got fucking great views, who were doing whatever the fuck they wanted for many years. Under Google, before Google changed, they were paying people out the fucking ass in the early 2000s, like the 2010s-ish, up until the adpocalypse, they call it. And there was one motherfucker, I can't remember his name, a bunch of people made a video on him. He was the one who reached out to Pepsi because a Pepsi ad was on like it was pretty white supremacist, I'll say. It was like a KKK channel or something. But you know what? I mean, under the First Amendment, that's their beliefs. And also under the First Amendment, we can all agree that's dumb. And fuck them. And vote with your dollar, and vote with your time, and vote with your attention to get them out of the fucking world. If we pay them no mind, they're gone.
Well, and that's honestly, like what you just said, is what we're going to have to start doing. We're going to have to start ignoring it and building our own shit and going to other places. I mean, people are doing it with migration. I mean, they're coming to Texas and Florida. And we're going to have to start doing it online. And it's happening. It's slowly growing, like Rumble's growing, because, I mean, YouTube has the power to just turn off your income.
Automatically. There's people who do it all the time.
Yeah. I mean, like Elijah
channels
Schaefer.
Get deleted, demonetized, gone, and that is, your kids don't eat.
I know. Yeah, it's crazy.
All because of an opinion. Not because you said, hey, somebody go attack this certain thing, all because you had an opinion that went against their corporate bullshit beliefs. Even though they're supposed to be for everybody. Just think about it. Come on.
Well, they're in on whatever the plan is, whatever's going on. And it's accelerated. We're moving quickly.
COVID accelerated everything.
Oh, it was the perfect
It
Trojan
shut down
horse.
everything, and it got everybody glued to some bullshit and let them do whatever they want. Call me a conspiracy theorist. Just look at it. What else? I mean, come on.
I know. I mean, that is what it is. But
Where are we at?
you know, I don't know.
Keep talking. 5 more minutes.
So, I mean, that kind of leads into.
Let's be happy. No,
I mean,
fuck
I'm happy.
that.
I'm chilling.
Oh, I'm great.
This shit makes me laugh. I'm not even like I can compartmentalize it so well now.
I can't.
That's what my wife says. She can't compartmentalize it as well as I can.
Does she
either.
get existentially upset about the state of the world where she's just kind of bummed because everything that's going on?
Yeah, especially at her old job because they were cracking down on the mandate for the and she got out before. Luckily, it's mandatory now where she used to work. But where she works now, she doesn't have to worry about. But because she's learning this new job, she's not really too concerned with like the shit I'm like reading and shit. So, but before when she was at the job she didn't like, and then me talking about this stuff, that definitely made her like get
Becomes overwhelming.
becomes overwhelming. And I've been into this shit for a long time. You know it. My grandfather believed that there was some shit we had to stock up for.
You were in this when we first met.
Oh yeah, I mean, I knew. I was just already kind of like, nefarious forces are at at work constantly.
But you always too think about it with skating. You always had a punk rock. You were always kind of like, fuck the system. I don't trust you. Like that's just you.
Yeah, it's crazy because it's like
I'm telling you, that's inherent with skating. With the culture you grew up in, was just like a fuck. What's the Rage Against the Machine? Fuck you. I won't do what you tell me.
Except Rage Against the Machine is communism.
I know, but
They're
that's a
straight
great
commies.
song.
I know. So, yeah, because that's what's funny. What machine are they raging against?
No, they're cogs.
So anyway, that's what's hilarious about today. The punk, the go against the man, is the fucking like...
They've manipulated
America loving people all of a sudden, like the good old goody two shoes now supposedly. But it's all right though. This is turning into a big swath of people. It's not just your typical Bible thumping person who's thinking this way. I mean, we got a lot of people thinking this way now.
No, and you know what I've noticed, and I'm just gonna say it, and it's not even necessarily anti-Ja. It's a lot of people who currently or at one time align themselves with Black Lives Matter.
They were marching with MAGA people in New York City. Did you see that?
And that's backfiring. And it's
backfiring completely.
I'm going to say this. I said this in a rap song in like 2014, and I sent it to this black woman rapper, and she was like, I can't fuck with this. And then we got on another song together. I said, the line was, because Black lives do matter, but motherfuck that movement. Because the movement...
Oh, yeah. Was that the...
Yep, Boog. And Boog... Fuck it. Shout out to Boog Brown. There's nothing against her in that. She wouldn't hop on something saying that because...
Yeah, she can't risk
her
her
shit. If I was her, I wouldn't do it either.
Yeah, because where is she from? Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And she was it would have been a bad look. And I was probably ignorant for saying that at the time. I don't know. But...
Nah.
Because when you go to blacklivesmatter.com and you hit donate, it takes you to a website. I can't remember it exactly. It's called like goblue.com.
Yeah, it's like
it's a democratic polling website. But it looks like the same page, but you watch your little URL and it completely changes.
Yeah, it's a fundraiser. It's a
whatever person in their garage, bedroom, basement started that movement, whoever saw it was hands up, don't shoot, wasn't it? Which turned out to be a farce. I'm just gonna say that never happened.
Whoever started this movement, I feel bad for you because your
hands up, don't shoot didn't happen, and that's on fucking state record.
Yeah,
he never put his hands up. He charged.
Oh yeah.
Michael
I know
Brown.
I'm
sorry. You can hate me all you want. That's what happened.
No, it's just facts.
And you know what? But then I'll be fair and look at the fucking dude who was selling cigarettes.
No, that was fucked.
They were
That was fucked.
But then I've heard Rogan and a couple other people argue that when they took away chokeholds, a proper chokehold, unlike what they did, they killed that guy because they held his fucking neck improperly and way too long.
And he was a big dude.
And he was a big ass guy who had breathing problems.
And by big, I mean fat.
He was overweight. He ate too much. I used to be overweight.
He consumed too many calories.
And it's unhealthy. And people die, that's why people die from COVID. But I've heard a chokehold is not an ineffective maneuver when properly executed.
Yeah, you got to use your knee.
Not on the neck. Is that what you're talking about?
It's terrible.
But then this brings up my point. George Floyd wasn't a good guy.
No.
He was just, I'm not a good guy. I'm a fucking felon. If I died right now and everyone was like, oh, Jared, I'm like, hang on a second. I made some podcasts, but I'm kind of an asshole.
Yeah, you might want to refrain those cheers.
I stole pills from a lot of people.
Did you see that story of the lightning striking the George Floyd mural down?
No, but it's just...
It was a brick wall, and they painted him, and like lightning just hit the bricks and destroyed all the bricks.
The guy... The chauvinistic chauvin motherfucker.
He's fucking creepy looking too.
He shouldn't have done it, and he had a beef with the guy.
He did, because I'm telling you, there was more to that shit.
But George Floyd was no saint, and they're painting him as a saint. If it was just this guy died, fuck his past, he's dead. The media is the one that brought that up. But then
I know.
That prompted us to dig into like what's really going on. And that's your and I's job as independent news people, is to dig into shit like what's really going on. I'm not making a judgment against George Floyd. Look at his past. He may have been a nice person to his friends and family, or he had interpersonal relationships with people like we all do. But when the doors are closed, who knows what you do? I think about fucking Tony Soprano as a character. He's a family man. He's this. He's a fucking murderer.
Yeah.
You may love him on the show, but he's a murderer. And I'm not calling George Floyd a murderer, but I mean, we're propping some of these people up to be heroes that aren't fucking heroes, and then we're taking down statues of people that we know are to be heroes.
You know what's funny you say that is... I watched that Dave Chappelle special.
Okay, what's it called?
It's called The Closer. It's his last one with Netflix, out of the series.
Fuck Netflix.
And they must have some tight contract, and Netflix is probably like, fuck.
He probably fucked them. He probably got one over.
They're getting so much heat. And that thing, I will say this, though. It wasn't on the front page when I was like just added, I had to search it. And
they're probably shelving it.
Yeah. But anyway... He had said something that kind of reminds me of what you're saying, like not a good guy, but like in how ass backwards this whole world is. Because he was obviously the LGBTQ community, is after him constantly.
Tranny.
Well, you got to watch Sticks. Did you watch Sticks and Stones?
Is that a special?
That's another one he did on Netflix.
I watched,
and
all of them
he doubled
up until
down.
This one. Yeah.
And then
you wore the
now
jacket
the
with the C
Closer,
on it.
he doubled down
Triples
again.
down.
But anyway, he had said this joke or this story where he was talking about how, if you say the wrong thing to this group, X, Y, and Z will happen. He brought up Kevin Hart losing his opportunity to host the Oscars and things like that. And then he literally was, DaBaby. So DaBaby, I guess, said some comments at a concert in Miami recently.
Yeah.
And I guess they're dragging him through the coals. And I guess he lost his spot at Lollapalooza over it. And literally Dave Chappelle was saying, this fool, it was involved with a murder in Walmart.
Yep.
And y'all are canceling him for some comments at a concert. Like, that's where we're at. And I'm like, that's crazy.
The murder was legal, though, according to the state.
I mean,
Stand your ground
I read a
law
little
in
bit
Florida.
about it. Stand your ground law. But
I listened to a video.
Oh, did you? See, I didn't know those details.
Yeah.
It was in Florida?
Yep.
Where at?
Down south.
That makes sense. Is he
Maybe
from
it was
Miami?
no, it was in North Carolina. I'm fucking around. But that's probably another stand your ground state.
Well, I get the point he was making, nonetheless, but
Some dude walked up to just for context, some dude walked up to him and his kid and was like, "You got to check in, homie." And he was like, "Nah." And the dude pulled a gun out and he pulled a gun out and iced him.
oh shit.
Yeah, that's just the story.
All right. Well, I mean, it's not
But
a good
that is a great point.
but it's not
He
a good
killed a
example
man.
anymore. But he killed a man. Yeah, killed a man.
But
And
we're all okay
no
with
one
his
even
music
bats an eye.
until he says something in the heat of the moment at a concert.
Correct.
I just don't understand how normal people don't think about it in these terms. Or do they? And all we see is the silent majority of the dumbasses on social media. But dude, the only social media I'm on is Reddit. And if you have anything remotely halfway, if the ticker is right here and you are ding, a little right,
Delete.
gone, downvoted to shit. Because that's what they do on Reddit. You have downvotes.
Why is Reddit like Reddit's fucking
Reddit
stupid.
there's the subreddit. For those who don't know how Reddit works, I think everyone would, but I didn't for a while. It's like a bunch of different little communities where you can join them and talk about Kim Kardashian or The Walking Dead or the Miami Dolphins, whatever. And people make up really stupid ass ones too. But there was one called r/No New Normal, which was kind of against the grain of COVID
So my group.
subreddit.
Yeah, my group.
You would have joined it.
Yeah,
I was
'cause
on it.
The fuck
I
this
was
new
on
normal.
it. I was on it until I deleted it. I've deleted my Reddit a couple times. Once because the woke mob attacked me, and my name on Reddit was Somewhat Savants.
Oh,
And
yeah,
we
were trying
had
to save
20
face.
episodes.
Because what did you say again?
It was a photo.
I don't
of,
think we've ever talked about this.
It was when Matt Gates, he's a douchebag.
Oh, the Florida
he's a douche.
congressman.
He's a douche. I don't
he
like
looks
him.
like Beavis and Butthead.
He's a douchebag. And he got accused of sexual assault or something. And it was just someone accusing him, or it was like very vague accusations when I read the article. And I said, it's crazy how regardless of what really happened, the dude's already guilty. I was saying, like, he's done. No, it doesn't matter what really happened if it's a nuanced situation or what, which halfway. Never mind. I'm not going to talk about it. But because I don't know enough about it. They jumped on me, dude, and were going through old comments. Like, you can go to someone's profile and see what they've commented on.
Oh, man.
They were going to
doing
subreddits that I frequented.
They were
Like, I
doing
was
sweep.
and they were like, "Hey, everybody, just want you to know in this subreddit at Somewhat Savants or u/Somewhat Savants supports child rape." Over and over and over. I was at work. I was working in the kitchen. And it was like, so-and-so supports child rape. Supports child rape. And you can't delete your Reddit from your phone. I was panicking so bad because of how easy of a connection it would have been that I booted my boss off her computer, signed on to my Reddit on her computer, and deleted it. I was that terrified.
And we shouldn't be like that, though, with them.
It was that overwhelming.
Well,
Within a span of 15 minutes, I was like, you would have been lumped into it. Our lives are over for something I said that was just innocent.
well, now we don't do that.
No, I don't want to do, no, we just post our shit.
And we don't, because that's the thing. They bully you and they come at you until you bend the knee. And when you bend the knee, you're done. Like, look at the band member from Mumford & Sons.
What happened?
Oh, shit.
Look it up.
Let me look it up real quick. I forget exactly what he said.
I know Mumford & Sons,
but
I don't know if they're all brothers.
I
don't know if all four of them are actually related.
Controversy.
I know Kings of Leon is related, but Mumford & Sons, I've not heard anything from them in quite a while. So this would actually make sense. What does it say?
He was accused of transphobia, misogyny, and Islamophobia.
Sounds like something we probably did on this podcast.
says Mumford and Sons guitarist quits band so he can speak freely against political extremism. And it originally started. Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, he apologized and it said, oh, Jesus. He said he's sparking a social media storm by tweeting admiration for Unmasked, a book by right-wing writer activist Andy No. That's the dude who
Andy No, yeah, and he got beat the fuck up by
infiltrated Antifa. I know.
And they beat his fucking ass.
And
he got his ass beat.
Antifa wants him dead. They hate him.
I'm not trying to say he's weak or anything. I'm saying he got his ass beat by 100 fucking guys or whatever.
You're outnumbered by a bunch of, even though they're a bunch of puny, scrawny, white sons of bitches.
He got on Rogan.
Good. I mean, Andy No, I mean, he's doing good work. So he left the band. I forget what he actually said in the beginning, but he left the band. Long story short, the mob came after him. He did this, weak ass, move by bending the knee and didn't hold his ground. And then he left the band, and then they win. That's how they win. You know what I mean? They came, they conquered, and then once he quit, they probably were like, damn right, you quit the band.
They have a satisfying 15 minutes for somebody's whole fucking life, and then they move on to the next one.
And it's just a matter. And that's why Dave Chappelle, he's the GOAT. He's so big. Like, his literally, I guess he went to a show just recently, or he went to where his documentary premiered. I was reading about it, and literally everyone he got a standing ovation. People were clapping, and he said, if this is what canceled is like, I love it. And they asked him, I guess someone asked him, what do you think of the backlash you're getting on Twitter? Fuck Twitter. It's not a real place, is what he said.
It isn't.
It isn't. It's not a real place. Like, and that's what we need to start doing. We need to start looking at these stupid people that you got attacked by on Reddit, who are likely going to attack this.
I got a different account now.
All of these people,
random.
It's not a real place. This is real, being face to face with people, and this whole shit's not real. I mean, anything these keyboard fucks are saying.
But it's such a shame that we are in the medium that we are choosing to be in, beholden.
I know. Now, if you really want to watch something to start blowing your mind, do you watch the Dark Horse podcast?
Never heard of it.
Okay. The Dark Horse podcast. I don't know if you remember. You remember when Jordan Peterson got canceled on campus for the transphobia shit, not using the language? He's like, I'm not going to invent language for you, but I'll call you, if you come up to me and ask me. There was another pair of teachers. Forget the goddamn school. They're making their rounds on all of the conservative. Is it Evergreen? Yeah, Evergreen.
Weinstein?
Yes.
Brett Weinstein?
Yes. Him and his wife have the podcast now, the Dark Horse podcast.
Or is it Eric Weinstein? He has a brother.
I can't remember.
I think it's Eric.
I think it's Eric. And they're evolutionary biologists.
Eric.
Well, they, I guess, wrote a book recently, but the way they describe it and how we're evolving faster than our minds can keep up. Like our world, like what we've created is essentially taking over. And we as humans can't keep up with our own creation. And they were saying the best thing to do now in today's world to even somewhat stay human is face-to-face stuff. And all of this shit, like, I don't know. The way they kind of talked about it was kind of bleak because I don't see a way out. But that's what it reminds me of, these keyboard warriors and how those people, their world is Reddit and Twitter. That is where they exist.
Yeah, and they live in a hole.
Yeah, that's where they exist.
I was in the hole.
That's why you panicked.
I existed in my room. Yeah, and I had a job for a minute. I was just in my little zone. And I existed on there. That's where I got my thrills. It's a bizarre thing. Like, and I started to begin that downfall, and we can wrap up here in a second, with our whole Aaron Carter saga. We were just talking about that. And I had just left my wife. I was in my house, married, not separated, when I went on the FaceTime. I was fucking off, not doing anything. And for some reason, I followed Aaron Carter like as a goof. Just, I don't know, it's fucking Aaron Carter. I didn't know he was going crazy. I was just like, let's see. And I suggested to be on his live on the Somewhat Savants account, like it just coincidentally. I thought it was funny to follow Aaron Carter on Somewhat Savants for some reason. and he accepted it. And we actually fucking talked, and he seemed genuine. But then, I mean, he just turned out to be like a sociopathic liar.
He's got
And
some serious issues.
He's on OnlyFans now, but
Jesus.
he is. He probably don't make much money. No one wants to see that. He's just crazy. But I was like, there was a couple like hardcore fans that were making these. Aaron is a fucking scammer account. And like I got in deep with them. Like that's just what I invested my whole life into. And that's where it really started, where I fell in love with that online world. And then after that experience, I've just been completely done with it. No socials. I made a random Reddit account where I just kind of see what's going on in the world. I just look at the news section.
And you got me.
Exactly, for what's really going on in the world. I like to see what the cookie cutters are saying.
There's more
And
to be
then
told.
and then I want to see what you have to say. You got to get out of here, don't you?
Probably.
It's been...
How long are we on this one?
I did a timer. Oh, an hour and 15.
Oh, nice. That's a nice, healthy time.